Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of humanity's first contact station, her dark eyes fixed on the massive alien fleet that had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The vessels were elegant yet menacing, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent material unknown to human science. But Sarah wasn't impressed. After all, humanity had been preparing for this moment for over a century. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Admiral Lieutenant James Rodriguez reported from his communications station. Their universal translator is primitive, but functional. Sarah nodded, her silver-streaked hair catching the light of distant stars. Put them through. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the alien commander, a towering figure with crystalline features and eyes that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Supreme Commander Zixus of the Proxima Empire spoke with the confidence of one who had conquered 1,000 worlds. Inhabitants of Sol 3, your system lies within the destined expansion zone of the Proxima Empire. Submit to our authority, and you shall be granted the privilege of serving as a protectorate species. Resist, and we shall demonstrate why no civilization has ever successfully opposed our might. Sarah's expression remained neutral, but those who knew her well could detect the slight upturn at the corner of her mouth. Supreme Commander, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We appreciate your invitation, but Earth and its colonies must respectfully decline. We prefer to maintain our independence. Zixus's crystalline features hardened. You misunderstand, Admiral. This is not a negotiation. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender, or we will take this system by force. Then you misunderstand, Commander, Sarah replied, her voice carrying an edge of steel. This is not arrogance or defiance. This is a warning. The Sol system is protected by defensive systems beyond your comprehension. Retreat now, and we can establish diplomatic relations as equals. The alien commander's laughter echoed through the chamber, a sound like breaking glass. Protected. Our sensors detect nothing but a handful of orbital platforms and a pitifully small fleet. What could you possibly? Your sensors, Sarah interrupted, detect exactly what we want them to detect. Final warning. Commander, the next time we communicate, it will be too late. As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Rodriguez turned to his admiral. They're not leaving, ma'am. In fact, they're moving their fleet into attack formation. Sarah walked to the central command console, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Of course they're not. They've conquered hundreds of worlds using the same tactics. Overwhelm with superior numbers. Break any resistance quickly. Establish dominance. They've never encountered a species that was genuinely prepared for them. Activating quantum defense grid, Rodriguez asked, his hands hovering over his controls. Sarah shook her head. Not yet. First, we show them why they should have taken our warning seriously. Initiate Protocol Pandora. Throughout the Sol system, invisible quantum entanglement nodes began to hum with energy. Humanity had learned long ago that the best defense wasn't in massive ships or powerful weapons. It was in making your enemies realize that they never really understood the battlefield at all. The Proxima Empire's mighty fleet was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that doesn't bare its teeth until it's too late to run. Deep within Lunar Command, Dr. Maya Patel watched streams of data flow across her quantum displays. As Earth's leading expert in dimensional physics, she had spent the last 15 years helping develop humanity's greatest defensive innovation. But today would be its first real test. Neural network synchronization at 98.9%, she announced, her fingers moving through the holographic interface with practiced precision. Quantum entanglement field is stable across all nodes. Across the room, General David Santos nodded grimly. Unlike the Proxima Empire's showy displays of force, humanity's true military strength lay hidden in plain sight. Every satellite, every piece of space debris, even the dust floating in the solar wind, all had been carefully seeded with quantum-entangled particles over decades. Status update on the enemy fleet, he asked, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of tactical displays. "They're proceeding exactly as predicted," replied Captain Emma Walsh, head of tactical analysis. "Their fleet formation indicates they're following standard conquest protocols. They'll attempt to establish orbital superiority before launching their ground invasion." In the viewport above them, Earth hummed like a jewel in space, seemingly defenseless. But appearances could be deceiving. Meanwhile, aboard the Proxima Empire's flagship, Eternal Dominance, Supreme Commander Zixus reviewed the battle plans with his senior staff. The crystalline beings moved with fluid grace through their command center, their bodies refracting light in complex patterns that served as additional forms of communication. The humans' warning was nothing but desperation, Zixus declared, his form pulsing with confidence. "Our scanners show their technology is at least 3 centuries behind ours. They haven't even mastered basic graviton manipulation." First strategist Nexus, whose crystalline form bore traces of ancient battles, spoke up. "Supreme Commander, something troubles me. Their communication technologies are remarkably sophisticated for their development level, and their quantum signature readings are unusual." "Unusual how?" Zixus demanded. "They're too perfect," Nexus replied, her form dimming slightly. "It's as if they're exactly what we'd expect to see. No variations, no imperfections." Zixus dismissed the concern with a gesture. "You're being paranoid, old friend. They're simply a young species that focus their development on communication rather than military technology. It's not uncommon among peaceful races, which makes them perfect additions to our empire." Back on Earth, Dr. Patel's team made final adjustments to the quantum defense grid. Each node was part of a vast, invisible web that encompassed the entire solar system. But its true purpose wasn't just defense. It was about changing the rules of engagement entirely. "Think they've figured it out yet?" Captain Walsh asked, watching the enemy fleet's methodical approach. "They can't," Dr. Patel replied, a hint of pride in her voice. "They're looking for weapons, shields, traditional defenses. But we learned long ago that the best way to win a fight isn't to be stronger. It's to control the context in which the fight takes place." General Santos checked the countdown timer. 6 hours until the Empire's deadline expired. "Begin final preparations for Protocol Pandora," he ordered. "And someone get me Admiral Chen on the quantum comm. It's time to synchronize our response." Throughout the solar system, invisible changes were taking place. The quantum web hummed with potential energy, ready to reshape reality itself. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, knowing that somewhere out there, among the stars, they would eventually face a hostile force that thought might made right. The Proxima Empire was about to learn that sometimes the most advanced technology isn't the one that makes the loudest noise. It's the one that fundamentally changes the nature of what's possible. And humanity had gotten very, very good at doing the impossible. The deadline expired without ceremony. Supreme Commander Zixus' fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their advanced engines pushing them through space with practiced precision. 3,000 ships strong, each vessel bristling with weapons that could reduce a city to ash. It was a sight that had broken the will of countless civilizations before. "All ships, battle positions," Zixus commanded, his crystalline form glowing with anticipation. "Begin the standard conquest sequence. Disable their primitive defense systems first, then proceed with orbital bombardment of military targets." The first wave of Proxima ships accelerated toward Earth's orbital defense platforms. Their targeting systems locked onto the seemingly basic satellites and defense stations that dotted Earth's orbit. That's when everything changed. In Lunar Command, Dr. Patel's fingers flew across her console. Quantum field activation in 3, 2, 1. The fabric of space itself seemed to shiver. Throughout the solar system, the quantum-entangled particles that humanity had so carefully positioned over decades activated simultaneously. Reality rippled like a disturbed pond. Aboard the Eternal Dominance, alarms suddenly blared. "Supreme Commander," First Strategist Nexus called out, her crystalline form flickering with distress. "Our weapons, they're not responding." Zixus's form pulsed with anger. "What do you mean, not responding?" "The targeting systems, the energy weapons, even our defensive shields. Nothing is working correctly. It's as if—" Nexus paused, her voice filled with disbelief. "As if the fundamental constants of physics have changed within this region of space." In Lunar Command, General Santos watched the enemy fleet's confusion with grim satisfaction. "Initiate Phase 2, he ordered. Dr. Patel nodded, entering a complex sequence of commands. Quantum corridor established. Deploying G-OST units. From seemingly empty space, ships began to appear, but not the kind of ships anyone in the Proxima Empire had ever seen. They were small, barely visible, and seemed to flicker in and out of existence as they moved. "What are those?" Captain Walsh whispered, watching the displays in awe. "Gravitational harmonic oscillation stealth technology," Dr. Patel explained. "G-OST ships exist partially in multiple quantum states simultaneously. They're nearly impossible to target because they're never fully in one place at one time. The G-OST ships move through the enemy fleet like wraiths, their quantum state weapons bypassing the Empire's advanced shields as if they weren't there. Each shot precisely calculated, they disabled ship after ship with surgical precision. Aboard the Eternal Dominance, chaos reigned. How are they doing this?" Zixus demanded, watching his mighty fleet become helpless. "Their technology was primitive. Our scans showed." "The scans showed exactly what they wanted us to see," Nexus realized, her voice heavy with understanding. "They've been manipulating our sensor readings from the beginning. Every piece of data we gathered about Earth's capabilities was part of their deception." In orbit around Earth, Admiral Chen watched from her command station as the battle unfolded. The Proxima ships, their weapons rendered nearly useless by the altered physics within the quantum field, tried desperately to adapt. But they were fighting an enemy that had changed the very rules of warfare. "Admiral," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, "the enemy fleet is attempting to retreat, but the quantum field is interfering with their faster-than-light drives." Chen nodded. "Open a channel to the Eternal Dominance." Supreme Commander Zixus's image appeared, his crystalline form now dimmed with defeat. "How?" he demanded. "How is this possible?" "We tried to warn you," Chen replied calmly. "Earth's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our ships. It's our understanding that the most effective defense isn't about having the biggest guns. It's about controlling the context of the battle itself. We've spent generations preparing not just weapons, but ways to fundamentally change how combat works." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Now shall we discuss the terms of your surrender? Or would you prefer to see what else humanity has been keeping hidden?" Supreme Commander Zixus stood motionless in his command center, watching as centuries of Proxima Empire military doctrine crumbled before his eyes. His mighty fleet, the pride of 17 star systems, hung powerless in space, caught in humanity's invisible web of quantum manipulation. "Show me everything," he commanded, his crystalline form dulled with the weight of defeat. "Show me what we failed to see." Admiral Chen's hologram nodded, and suddenly the space around the Proxima fleet came alive with visualization data. The true extent of Earth's defensive network became visible, an intricate lattice of quantum-entangled particles stretching across the entire solar system, turning space itself into humanity's greatest weapon. "For a century, we watched the stars," Chen explained. "We detected your empire's expansion long before you reached us. Every conquered civilization, every subjugated species, we learned from them all. We knew traditional defenses would fail against your technology, so we developed something entirely different." In Lunar Command, Dr. Patel activated another sequence of protocols. The quantum field shifted, and suddenly the Proxima ship's sensors began working again. But now they could see everything they'd missed before. "Impossible," First Strategist Nexus whispered, her form flickering with shock. "Their entire system, It's a quantum computer. They've turned their solar system into a vast computational network. Not just computational, Dr. Patel's voice came through, clear and precise. We've learned to manipulate the fundamental forces that govern reality itself. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces within our quantum field, we can adjust their properties at will. General Santos stepped forward, his voice firm but not unkind. Your empire has always relied on technological superiority. Bigger ships, stronger weapons, better shields. But we humans learned long ago that true advancement isn't about building bigger weapons. It's about understanding the nature of reality itself. Throughout the solar system, more of humanity's hidden capabilities revealed themselves. The seemingly empty space between planets shimmered with countless microscopic quantum nodes. Every asteroid, every piece of space debris, even the solar wind itself had been incorporated into Earth's defense network. The debris field around Earth, Nexus realized, it wasn't random space junk. It was all precisely positioned. Every piece is part of your network. Correct, Admiral Chen confirmed. We didn't build a traditional defense system. We turned our entire solar system into one integrated defensive organism. Every particle works in concert, guided by our quantum AI networks. Aboard the Eternal Dominance, Zixus watched as his ship's systems came back online, but only because humanity allowed it. The message was clear. They were in complete control, and had been from the moment his fleet entered the solar system. Your warning, he said slowly, his voice heavy with understanding. When you said we wouldn't understand until it was too late, you weren't threatening us with destruction. You were trying to prevent us from humiliating ourselves. Precisely, Chen replied. This demonstration wasn't about defeating your fleet. It was about showing you that there's more to power than military might. Humanity chose to advance differently. We focused on understanding the universe rather than dominating it. In Lunar Command, Dr. Patel's team continued monitoring the quantum field's stability. The network hummed with potential energy, ready to disable the Proxima fleet again at a moment's notice. But the real victory wasn't in the technology. It was in the dawning understanding on the faces of their would-be conquerors. What happens now? Zixus asked, his crystalline form shifting with uncertainty. Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. That depends on you. Supreme Commander, we're prepared to share some of our understanding. Not our technology, but our approach to advancement. The question is, are you prepared to learn? 3 months after the failed invasion, the Sol system had become a very different place. The massive Proxima warships that once threatened Earth now floated peacefully in high orbit, their crews engaged in something unprecedented in the Empire's history, learning from those they had tried to conquer. In the newly established Joint Species Research Center on Luna, Dr. Maya Patel stood before a mixed audience of humans and crystalline Proxima scientists. The latter's forms shimmed with excitement as she explained the principles behind quantum field manipulation. The key was never about building bigger weapons, she explained, her holographic displays showing the intricate dance of quantum-entangled particles. It was about understanding that the universe itself is our greatest tool. We just had to learn how to ask it nicely to work with us. Supreme Commander Zixus, now serving as the Empire's first ambassador of scientific exchange, watched from the back of the room. His crystalline form had changed over the past months, developing new patterns that his people traditionally associated with wisdom and humility. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, Admiral Chen and First Strategist Nexus conducted a joint inspection of the new Interspecies Defense Initiative. Their ships moved through space side by side. The sleek, almost invisible human Geost vessel and the crystalline Proxima cruiser representing a partnership that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Your people have adapted remarkably well, Chen observed, watching Proxima crews working alongside human engineers to integrate quantum field technology into their ship systems. Nexus's form pulsed with what Chen had learned to recognize as thoughtful amusement. We had no choice but to adapt. You showed us that our entire understanding of technological advancement was incomplete. We thought power came from domination. You proved it comes from comprehension. In Lunar Command, General Santos reviewed reports from across the former empire. The ripple effects of Earth's victory had transformed the political landscape of known space. The Proxima Empire was evolving from a conquering force into a cooperative alliance, with Earth playing a central role in guiding this transformation. Another delegation arrived from the Centauri cluster, Captain Walsh reported. They're requesting access to our educational programs. Apparently, word of our different approach to advancement has spread. Santos nodded, remembering the tension of those first moments when the Proxima fleet entered their space. And to think all of this happened because we chose to warn them instead of striking first. Dr. Patel, who had just returned from her lecture, joined them at the command center. It's fascinating, really. Our quantum field technology could have been used purely as a weapon. We could have destroyed their fleet the moment they arrived. But by choosing to demonstrate rather than devastate, we achieved something far more valuable. We gained allies instead of subjects. Chen's voice came through the quantum comm as her ship completed its patrol. And in doing so, we proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to imagine a better way forward. In the months that followed, the Sol system became a beacon of innovation and cooperation. The Proxima Empire's vast knowledge of traditional space travel and energy manipulation, combined with humanity's revolutionary understanding of quantum mechanics and reality manipulation, led to breakthroughs that neither species could have achieved alone. More importantly, the story of Earth's victory spread throughout the galaxy, but not as a tale of military conquest. Instead, it became a lesson in the power of understanding over force, of wisdom over weapons. Other civilizations began to approach Earth not with fear or aggression, but with curiosity and hope. As Zixus watched another group of his people arrive for training at the Luna facility, he reflected on the warning that his former self had so arrogantly dismissed. We thought we were coming to show humanity its place in the galaxy. He mused to no one in particular. Instead, they showed us a whole new way to look at the universe itself. Dr. Patel, overhearing him, smiled. That's the thing about warnings, she said, her hands dancing through a holographic representation of their latest quantum field experiment. Sometimes they're not threats. They're invitations to learn something new. You just have to be willing to listen. Above them, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, its quantum defense network humming quietly in the background. But now, instead of serving as a weapon, it stood as a reminder that the greatest victories don't come from destroying your enemies, but from turning them into friends who share your curiosity about the infinite possibilities that lie in understanding the universe around us.